program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a beautifully hot low-felt afternoon. My name is James Hendry, and this is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
You are live.
Hello, all of you little wonderful human beings at Windsor Oaks and Providence Elementary Schools, probably both in Virginia Beach as far as I'm aware. Wonderful to have you with us here on safari in the African summer. Isn't it a lovely day out here? And what we're going to be doing is driving down the road here, seeing what we can find, and hopefully at the end of this road there will be some little leopards and we'll be able to spend some time with them. If not, well, you know, this place has got some beautiful, beautiful creatures. Now, if you've never joined us before, and I don't think that's going to be the case, I'm pretty sure that all of you have been on a safari with us before, we're going to be looking for some of the big animals. We could see elephants, we could see buffalo, we could see lions and leopards maybe, but also we could see lots of little birds. And we're at the southern tip of Africa. Now, I wonder if I gave you a map of the world, could you find where Africa is? I hope you could. If you can't, ask your teachers, they will show you where it is, because we're a very, very long way from you. And you can see that I'm dressed for summer. It's very nice here in summertime, and unlike you, where it's winter, of course. Now, you must ask as many questions as you like. You can talk to us through your teacher, and she will tell us exactly what your questions are, or he. I think you're all being taught by she's at the moment, and we will talk about all the things that you want to regarding safari. My friend Byron is also out here. He's walking around on foot. He's very brave today. And Taylor is driving off in that direction there, and she is looking for elephants. So hopefully we will have some luck. She's probably going to go to the water holes, because that's where the elephants go when it's very hot like this. Hello, Jocelyn. You want to know how the animals survive? Well, Jocelyn, I want you to think quite carefully about how you survive. What do you think that's important in your life that enables you to survive? And I'll tell you, it's exactly the same thing. So the things that you need to survive are food. Right, good. So we can look around here, and if I'm an impala, which is a kind of an antelope, you can see that there's lots and lots for me to eat. I could be eating leaves from trees or leaves of grasses. And then the other thing you need, of course, is shelter. Now, we as human beings, you can see we don't have much fur on our hands or all over our bodies, do we? And so we have to live in homes, in houses. But out here, the animals have all got fur, and that means that they don't need a home to live in at all. They've got a home here, and that's all they need to survive. So they've got shelter themselves. Sometimes they'll use a thick bush for shelter, and they've got food all around them. And then the other thing that you need is, of course, some water. You need water. And water, I'll show you some here, at this time of the year, Jocelyn, is all over the place because it's our rainy season. And so although there are not huge amounts of water around, you get little pans like that little pond over there. Can you see that little pond? There we are. And some animals will come and drink from that. So there's water, and there's food, and there's enough shelter out here. And those are exactly the same things that you need to survive. Jocelyn, you need to eat your meals twice or 3 times a day. You need a home to live in that's nice and warm. And you also, especially in wintertime, and you also need water to drink. Oh, look at that. Very special bird up there. That bird, everyone, is a Bateleur. A Bateleur is a special, special kind of a bird. And if we look at it carefully, you can see that it's trying to balance. Can you see that? You know, when you try and balance and you're walking on a rope or trying to balance on a fence or something like that, you swing your arms from side to side, and that bird does exactly the same thing. because it finds it quite difficult to balance in the air. All right, let's head across to my friend Byron. He's on foot, and he wants to say hello to you, and he's going to tell you what he's going to do this afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. My name is Byron, and on camera with me this afternoon is Rian. And then we've also got Herbert. A bush walk, so we're walking through this area, having a look for any signs of small insects or maybe tracks of animals we might want to find. Now, while I've been walking, it's a very hot or warm afternoon. It's very, very nice. I've got a hat and sunscreen on. But what I did find along the way, which I'd like to show you, is some fruit. So I've got a little snack with me. Now, I'm not sure if some of you have seen this before. This is a little marula fruit. Now, these beautiful big marula trees, and I'll show you, there's one actually very close to us, right next to us over here. Nice big marula tree. And this is the tree that we get the fruit from. And just remember, don't pick up any fruit in the bush and eat it. Always make sure you know exactly what it is, or have somebody that is a professional that knows what the fruit is, that can tell you what to eat and what is poisonous. You have to be very careful. These are good for us to eat. Very rich in vitamin C. And you know which animals love these, and I'm going to be looking for those animals this afternoon. It's the elephant, the African elephant. Now let me show you how you actually eat these fruit. And what you do is you actually bite into it and you tear the skin off. Oh, that is so sweet. Very, very nice. This is a lovely ripe one. And you suck the juice out of it. They actually have a very large pip inside. I'm going to try and peel the skin off. The fruit, well, there's not too much fruit on it actually, but it's very, very sweet. Let me see if I can get the whole one in. There we go. Very juicy, very, very sweet, a little bit sour. But that is delicious. A lovely little bush snack for us. So that's given me some energy now. So I'm going to be walking around looking for elephant, and who knows what other animals we might find, and especially the little insects. While I'm walking, James is on the vehicle, and another friend of ours is also on a vehicle, and that's Taylor, and she wants to say hello.
I think that's the first time Byron has ever called me his friend. Today is a good day. Hello, everyone. Now, you're looking at a very, very scared bird up in that tree. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me is David. Now, if you listen very carefully, you can hear this bird shouting. So this is a crested Francolin, and what this bird is doing is it's alarm calling. Normally these birds don't sit in the tops of trees. They walk around on the ground and behave very much like a chicken. But something has upset it. Maybe a raptor, a bird of prey. Maybe a snake that's up in the tree that we just can't see because it's so camouflaged. But I'm scanning, we're checking the leaves, we're checking the branches to see if we can see anything moving around. But whatever it is, you don't often see these Francolins this angry. And it's jumped high up into the tops of the trees, so it must have been very scared. Normally they'll just sit up on a smaller shrub. There was also another one wandering around that looked a little bit relaxed too. Hello, Dominique. Now, Dominique, you're wondering how close can we get to the animals? Dominique, it depends. Normally what we do is we park a distance away and then we let the animals approach us if they are comfortable. But I suppose that you can also drive up to them. For instance, lions are pretty relaxed around the vehicles, so you can get relatively close. So now I have a question for all of you. Are you ready? It involves maths. So you're going to have to ask your teacher to help you. I just want to turn, very quickly, want to turn this radio off. Let's turn that right down. There we go. That's a little bit better. So we can drive and we can park normally. If a pride of lions is sitting down on the ground, we can park about 20 meters away from the lion. So my question to all of you is, what is 20 meters in miles. So you're going to have to ask your teacher to send through the questions. You're going to have to find out what the conversion is from meters to feet, not miles, feet. I mean feet. Thank you, Louise. I'm distracted by the bird alarming. I mean feet. So you're going to have to figure out that one is, and then you're going to have to let me know, because I'm also learning the distances in the different with the different conversions. And I don't know why this bird is so upset. I've searched this tree. I can't see any snakes. I can't see any raptors. And I can't see anything on the ground. I'm trying to also look where this bird is shouting, but it keeps moving around quite a bit. Now, Riley, you would like to know, what do these birds eat? Riley, these birds are really funny to watch because you'll often see them going through the animal's dung and picking up bits of seeds. They'll eat insects. Some of their favorite food is actually termites. They love to eat the termites, but they'll really eat any insects, and then occasionally they'll pick up the odd little seed as well. But mainly insectivorous. Are we going to leave this bird in peace, and hopefully it decides to relax, because it is very stressed out at the moment. But James has got one of Africa's most dangerous animals. Let's go take a look.
Well, I suppose it is a little bit dangerous at times, and that's normally when it feels afraid, because as you all know, when you feel afraid, then you can also be quite dangerous. You can imagine on the playground, if somebody is threatening you or pushing you around, you might be scared for a while, but eventually you're going to get angry, aren't you? And you're going to fight back. Well, that's just the same as these buffalo. This is a wonderful sighting of buffalo who are wallowing in the mud and in the water because it's a very hot afternoon. I think it's probably sitting at around 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And Langdon, as we were talking to Jocelyn earlier, you are wondering what all the animals eat. Well, it depends on the animal. So we've got two different kinds of animal here. We've got birds. Those are called Egyptian geese. They eat algae. And algae is a kind of a green slime that grows on the top of water. Then, next to them, of course, we've got the beautiful buffalo bulls. And they eat grass, just like cows. They're sort of Africa's equivalent of cows. And then, just on top of the buffalo, we've got there some oxpeckers. And those oxpeckers are eating ticks. So just in that one little picture that you've got right there, we've got a grass eater, a tick eater, and an algae eater. So it really does depend. Then, of course, we're looking for leopards, and we are hoping to find some. They eat meat. Lions eat meat. Hyenas eat bones and meat. Everything out here will find something nice to eat. Now, I have had a report that there could be a leopard very close by to here, and that she may have killed something. So I think we're going to go almost straight away along and see if we can't find that leopard. Oh, let's wait. We'll wait here a little bit. Providence Elementary School, you're wondering why those animals are in the water. Well, what do you do when it's very hot? Chaps, when you're very hot there, I know you don't feel like that now because it's winter, but you jump into the water, don't you, to have a swim? And that's exactly what these buffalo are doing. They're having a lovely swim there because it's very hot here, and like I said, about 85 degrees Fahrenheit out here. Sorry, Evan, I missed your question. What was your question again? Louise will give it to me. Ah, you're wondering what makes these buffaloes scared. Well, the thing that makes the buffalo scared the most is probably the thing that would make you scared the most out here, and that's lions. Lions make buffalo very scared, but there are no lions around here. Otherwise, the buffalo would be standing up and they'd be looking into the bushes and they'd be going to show that they were very afraid of the lions. But you can see that chap's just chewing the cud. And chewing the cud means he's actually eating his lunch for the second time. So he chewed it the first time, he grazed it, he picked it, and he swallowed it down into his stomach, and then, now this is going to make you say, ew, then he vomited it up into his mouth, and he's chewing it again, because that's how all of the ruminants eat, and the ruminants are the buffalo, cows, and all those sorts of animals. Cadence, well, by the very nature of it being a bull, we know it's a boy. You want to know how I tell that it's a bull or a cow. If we look at it there, you can see that it's got a sort of helmet on the top of its head. Can you see that? And that helmet on the top of its head has the horns coming out of it. Now, if that was a cow or a female buffalo, we would know that it was a female because that kind of covering of the horns on top of the head wouldn't be there. The horns would just be coming straight out of the side of the head. She wouldn't have that covering that the buffalo bulls got, and the bulls got that because they like to fight with each other. They bash each other in the head in much the same way that gridiron footballers do. It's like a special gridiron football helmet that they have. Alright, we're going to move from here because we want to see if we can find that leopard. And while we do that, Byron, on foot, has got a bird.
I have indeed got a bird, James, a beautiful bird that we've just spotted. And listen to it call. You might be able to hear it. Hear that? Dee, 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 dee. It's called a Diedrich cuckoo. There he goes. He's flying. Where is he going? Let's see. And off he goes. Very small little bird, but he has a wonderful cuckoo. Is they migrate in summer, well, our winter rather, so in the northern hemisphere summers, they'll migrate right up to North Africa, and then they come back down here for the summers. Wonderful, wonderful bird to see, the cuckoo. We've got a lot of different species of cuckoos, and we do get to see them now and then. They've all got wonderful calls. They can be a little bit tricky to find. Now, while we walk around, Herbert is also having a look for any interesting little insects. Now, I've seen a lot of butterflies. I'd like to show you some if there are some around. The thing with the butterflies is they don't sit for very long. They tend to fly away. There goes one. Let's see if it sits for us. A common vagrant. It's a beautiful whitish little butterfly called a common vagrant. It's a beautiful white sitting still at all. And here's a beautiful plant that I'd like to show you. And look at this flower. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Now this is called a wild foxglove. That's a beautiful wild foxglove. No fruit or berries on this one. But Jennifer, you asked, are there any other fruit and berries that we can eat out here? There are indeed, Jennifer. Now let me have a look if I can find some for you quickly. Just having a look around here. This is called a whiteberry bush, and there's normally berries on here. But I don't see any on this one at the moment. We'll try to find. So Jennifer, there's lots of different trees that do have little berries and fruit that we can eat. There's some that we don't eat, but there are, especially now in summer, there are a lot of ones that we can eat, and they are very, very tasty. There's one called a sour plum. Now, some of you at school might love this, because I know how you kids love sour fruit or sour sweets. Now, it's about this size, almost the same size as almost the same size as this marula fruit. See, I've got a secret stash in my pocket for later. So it's about the same size, but it's a red color, beautiful bright red color, and very, very sour. Very, very sour fruit. And the faces we pull when we eat them are so funny. You can imagine, when you bite into something very sour and your face pulls that, or you make those funny faces, is because it's so sour. There's a fruit out here, very tasty, very, very nice, but it is sour. So there's a lot of those. There's the whiteberry bush. There's a little bush called a ivy grape, and they contain little, they've got little grapes on them. Actually, tiny little ones, about this size, not very big, and we do get them around too. So there is lots of fruit that we can eat. I'm just trying to see if I can find one of these beautiful butterflies that are flying around. Now, Lucas, you're wondering why is it so hot in Africa? So, Lucas, we are almost on the other side of the world compared to where you are. And what happens is we experience our summer now, this time of year. So when you at home are having winter in North America, we are having we are having summer. So over Christmas and New Year, it is very, very hot. It gets up to where we are, so extremely hot. So our Christmases, instead of building snowmen and having cold conditions, we have hot summer days where we spend in the pool or at the beach. Isn't that wonderful? So very different to a Christmas and New Year that you might experience back home. And then when we move into June, July and August, that is when it is winter for us. It does get very cold. But out here, it never gets cold enough for it to snow. We don't get snow in this part of South Africa. We have got some mountains called the Drakensberg mountain range, which we can see from here on a clear day, but we're a little bit low, so you won't be able to see them at the moment. And right on top of those mountains, we may get some snow, but South Africa generally doesn't get very much snow. Our climate is a bit warmer. That means our average temperature is much warmer, so we don't get a lot of snow. Now, on that note, I'm going to carry on walking in the heat and see what else I can find. Let's get back to my friend Taylor and see if she's found anything.
Have a look at this really big marula tree that's just off onto the side of the road. And look at that big hole that's in the middle of the tree. You can see that the termites have been eating away at it. So they've hollowed out this tree. And then I don't know what's happened inside. Maybe an elephant has broken a branch that was on the knot of this tree. And now it's made for this, well, this beautiful big hole. And out here in Africa, this would make the perfect home for a snake, for a little animal called a bush baby or a galago, for birds. And if it was lower down on the ground, you might even find a leopard stashing her cubs inside a hole like that, but the tree would have to be a little bit closer down to the ground. But isn't that amazing? Now, I wouldn't stick my hand in there either, because you wouldn't know if there's a snake or anything. There are some nasty snakes out here. You don't want to be bitten by them. So in order to avoid being bitten by any snakes or anything that can really cause you harm, it's always good to watch where you put your feet, and of course don't stick your hand in any dark holes. That's not a good idea to do that out here. Now we are now driving on a property called Chitwa, and as we're driving around we might actually see this animal that Layla's just asked about. So Layla's wanting to know what is the animal that we see the most. So Layla, if you look very carefully, we might spot one. It's an antelope, so like a deer, I suppose. It's called an impala. That's probably the most common mammal out here. And then we see lots of elephants. We're quite lucky we see lots of leopards. And at one point we were seeing lots of lions too, but they seem to have gone on holiday somewhere. See, they had to work over Christmas, and now they've only taken their holiday now at the end of January, which is quite normal for lions. They like to do that quite often. Just joking. Now they are looking for buffalo to eat, so wherever the buffalo go, so do the lions. And unfortunately there don't seem to be too many buffalo around, because there's lots of grass, lots of food for them to eat. They can move wherever they like. My goodness, David, now where do we go? Straight left. Oh, straight and then left. So we're trying to navigate around here. I've never driven down this side of Chitwa. It's a new area that we can drive on, so we're learning, and I have a map which I will try and use. But this is a beautiful area, lots of grass, also lots of trees, so this would be a very good spot for some elephants. They like to eat everything, and when there's lots of everything, so lots of leaves, lots of grass, lots of bulbs and roots to dig out of the ground. Did you hear that, David? Now I don't know if you heard that, but there was a big bang coming from this tree. And as we look at this marula tree, I heard something fell, and it was a marula. You saw Byron was eating a marula just now. That's the same fruit from the same tree, well, the different tree, and it keeps falling down. So you don't want to have a nap or a siesta underneath this tree, because I think you get a bit of a headache if a couple of marulas were to fall on them. But of course the fruit is delicious to eat. Now, Deontay, you were wondering if honey badgers live in Africa. They do, and we have honey badgers here. But they like to move around, and when we normally see them is just as the sun is setting, and also just as the sun is rising. Normally in dusk and dawn are the best times to see honey badgers. But they're quite shy as well as ferocious, big and scary, as they are one of the most feared animals in Africa. Got to be careful of them, but in the vehicles we're quite safe. David, have you been down here before? No. It's a new experience now. Hello? Just having a look at, there was some antelope track on the road that almost looked like a lion footprint, but antelope track fooled me. Now, Jania, you're wondering why don't the lions attack us? So it's because we've been interacting with these animals every single day in these cars for the last 30 years. So they've become used to us now. They don't think of us as a threat. They sort of like us. We're quite neutral. David, you're saying no? Are we? Oh, very nice. We don't know where we are. And the GPS can't tell us if we're driving where we're not supposed to be driving. So I'm just going to look at my map very quickly. Where is Gari Main? I have to find it. Here we go. Now I have to do that. We went over here. We're going to go down a little bit further and see if we can figure out where we are. Hopefully we're not driving somewhere we're not supposed to. But James has got the most incredible surprise for you to see.
Now, we do have a very wonderful surprise for you here, everybody, but I must just warn you that there's a little bit of blood because an animal was killed. That's underneath the tree there, but just look over there to the left of us. There's a leopard. A little male leopard called Hosana, which means the little chief. Now, he's just left the kill, and so we're not going to worry about the kill. We're just going to follow him. This is very special. Isn't that nice? To me, this is the most beautiful cat in the world. And it's certainly the most beautiful cat in Africa. Let's just move in here a little bit. Hello, Deshaun. You're wondering what leopards eat? Deshaun, leopards love to eat meat. And I will show you what he's been eating, but I'm just going to warn you that it might be a little bit sad for some of you because they did kill something, but that's normal. That's okay. There we go. Let's have a look at him. We all like to eat meat as well, don't we? Or lots of us do. Oh, he's walking towards another vehicle there. And that is the young male leopard, and you can hear the birds going crazy. And that's because they don't like leopards, because leopards kill. And if we look over there, you can see that's where the kill is. That's what they eat. That is a dead impala, and his mum killed that today, sometime during this morning. And I know it's a little bit sad, but it's okay, because these leopards have to eat, and they deserve to eat. And what I think this little chap's doing is perhaps heading towards some water, because there's some water quite close by, so we're not going to stick with the smelly meat there, which is starting to be a little bit disgusting. His mum's in here somewhere, probably in the shade. Yeah, I think he's heading towards some water there. Langdon, you're wondering how fast a leopard can run. Well, the official number is about 70 feet in 1 second. Now, can you imagine how fast that is? 70 feet in 1 second. That's very fast indeed. And if I was to put it in miles per hour, it's probably about almost 70 miles per hour. Not 70 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour. Between 45 and 50 miles per hour. And we're just going to try and find this little male again, this little leopard. There's some water not too far from here. He might also be trying to get into the shade, of course. There he is. I can see him now. You see him there? Hello, Mrs. Hubble. You're wondering about the differences between a leopard and a cheetah. Mrs. Hubble, they are superficially very different indeed. And if you look a bit deeper, they're extremely different. The basic difference is that a leopard is much more stocky. He's a much less sort of thin and tall animal. He's built for a short sprint rather than for a lengthy run, which of course is what a cheetah's born for. And a cheetah is taller, and the spots are very different. So although the face looks quite similar in some respects, the face of a cheetah is much thinner, and it's got black tear marks that go from the eye down to the nose, and you can see that this chap's got none of that. And do you know why he's panting like this? He's panting like this because he's eaten so much. He's so full of meat that he can't hardly breathe. Now, Lucas, you've asked a very good question, but I'm going to tell you that it works a different way from the way you've asked it. You said, how long does a leopard mum stay with her babies? A leopard mum doesn't stay with her babies. It's how long her babies stay with her, Lucas. And this male leopard will leave her mum when he is about 2 years old. Now, he has his first birthday in just 14 days. In 14 days' time, little Hosana will be exactly 1 year old. Isn't that nice? And so he's got another year or so with his mum, but slowly he will spend more and more time away from her. He'll go off hunting on his own, then he'll come back again, and then he'll go and spend some time sleeping in a tree on his own, and then he'll come back again. And eventually, after 2 years or so, he will be on his own. And that's a difficult time. And you know what? It's very similar as to when all of you will eventually leave home, and that's not for a very long time, so you don't need to worry about it. But it becomes quite difficult when, as a young adult, you have to make your way in the world, find a job, make your own, find a house to live in, buy your own food, that sort of thing. And that's exactly how it is for these young leopards. They have to learn to hunt on their own. They have to find a place to stay that isn't full of other leopards, and that's quite difficult. Well, Liam, what do you think? Look at this. As Craig zooms out from that leopard, what do you think the answer to your question is? Liam wants to know, do leopards like to hide? Well, Liam, look how well they hide. They're very, very good at hiding, aren't they? I mean, if we were just to walk past here, he could just put his head down in the grass, and you know what? We wouldn't even see him. See that? That's really quite clever. Now, we don't have a very long time, so we know where he is. So what I'm going to suggest we do is we leave him and see if we can't quickly find the mum, because I'd like you to introduce her to you, or many of you have probably met her before. She's a very special leopardess called Karula. Now, while we do that, Taylor has got, well, what some people call the big clown of the bush.
I think they are definitely the clowns of the bush, and this, as James is referring to, is also known as a wildebeest or a gnu, and it is a big male gnu, a big boy. Now he's sitting here and he's marking his territory. So he's got different ways that he'll mark his territory. If you look very carefully, you might even be able to see their preorbital. No, his preorbital glands are hidden. You can't see them too well. Maybe if he looks towards us again. Are you going to show us them? Oh, they were a little bit hidden, but basically underneath his eyes, he's got these little, how do you describe, like a little gland. It almost looks like another pair of eyes if you look very carefully, but it's not a pair of eyes. It secretes a very sticky goo, I suppose you could also call it, and they rub it on plants, they rub it on grass, on trees, and they will use this to scent mark. And also, between their hooves, they've got glands inside there called pedal glands, and they do the same thing. As he's walking along, he's constantly marking his territory. But he's waiting for a herd of ladies to come past and decide to live in his home. And he's got a beautiful home. He's got lots of nice grass. He's got big trees to help shade them. Now, Scott, you're wondering how many animals on the reserve. The answer to that is lots. There are so many different animals, and you can see that there's now a waterbuck that is joined, or two waterbuck. There's one sitting down on the ground as well. So here we have two different species, but you get lots. You get lions, you get leopards, you get hyenas and cheetah and serval and caracal, you name it, and all the different antelope species and all the birds and all the reptiles. There are too many to even try and count. I promise you, if you come down here, you will never ever get bored. Now, I think that the one that's sitting down might be... No, it can't be the calf, because she looks exceptionally fat. Maybe it is her calf, but you can see she's got a very big belly. She almost looks like she's still pregnant, and her udders, her teats are swollen, so she's got milk in there, so she's definitely feeding something. But it's very difficult to see who is sitting down in the long grass, because that antelope is now completely hidden. It could be a calf, it could be another female. Now, Layla, you're wondering, why do they have horns? So the waterbuck don't have horns. Well, the girl waterbuck don't have any, but the big boys have got massive big horns. But the wildebeest has now disappeared behind the termite mound. You can just see his tail every now and then. But he had horns, and horns are there to protect themselves. So they can protect themselves from predators, from animals that are trying to catch them and eat them. And when the boys need to fight for the rights to have all the groups of the ladies, then they have to battle it out, and they will clash their horns. So they'll use their horns as well to fight other species. But that's the two main reasons. Oh, I just heard something, but I think it was that wildebeest stomping his foot. I think that there are lots and lots of insects around. You can see how that antelope, she's sort of making her body shake a little bit. Can you see that? And that's her twitching her muscles, because all the insects are annoying her. They might be biting her. And you can see that tail is going, wee, 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 getting rid of all the insects. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that name for a second there. I missed that. Is it Luke? It was Luke. Luke, you're wondering what time of the year do the wildebeest migrate? All the time. So there's no set time. Are the flies bothering you? There's little flies called mapani bees, little bees, stingless bees, and they're flying all around us, trying to drink the sweat, because they also get thirsty, but they are bothering David. So he is using a technique to try and blow them away, sort of going... And it sort of works a little bit. Not quite as well as the antelope's tail, though. They're swatting it around, works much better. But the wildebeest, and he popped out again, he heard his name, they will move around all the time. They are constantly looking for food. So it just depends at which area you are in that you will see the wildebeest migrate. So there are, for instance, Kenya or Tanzania, which are countries in Africa, have got massive wilderness areas where you can see the animals. But at certain times of the year, the big herds of wildebeest and the zebra and even buffalo and those animals will all be in big herds at certain parts throughout the entire year. So they're constantly looking for food, constantly looking for water to eat, not water, water to drink. And now, well, you've seen the leopards with James, and you know, and I'm sure James has told you, that leopards climb trees very well. Now, somebody else has decided to climb up a tree, and he goes by the name of Byron. I don't think he can climb as well as a leopard, though.
I think I can climb very well, Taylor, but maybe not as well as a leopard. I'm right up in the branches of this marula tree that's actually been pushed over, I think, by an elephant. An elephant are incredibly powerful, and they do that so that they can get to the wonderful leaves and the fruit right at the top of the tree. So that's why they'll probably push over a tree like this. But you can imagine how strong an elephant is to be able to push it over like this. Now, what I did find, or what we found just before we walked up here, was have a look at this. A beautiful snake skin. Can you see that? Now, have a look. This is a small snake, not a very big snake. And what's happened here is the snake has shed its skin. So basically what happens when the snake grows, the skin doesn't grow with it. It gets too big for the skin. So it sheds its skin, which means it peels the skin off. And it will leave it behind, probably scrape it on the branches of a bush or in the long grass or on a stump. And then it'll leave the skin behind. So this, to be honest, looks like a skin of a stripe-bellied sand snake. Now, a sand snake out here, it's not venomous to us. They're just very, very fast snakes, very thin, fast-moving snakes, but they're not dangerous towards us. They're not venomous, which means they don't have venom that can harm us in any way. But I'm just having a look, and I think that's what it is from. Now, Katie, you want to know how many different types of snakes do we get out here? Well, many different types, Katie. We've got many, many different species. I would say, if I can maybe name the top venomous ones, so the ones that we have to be very careful of, that would probably be the black mamba, which is renowned around the world for being very fast. It tends to be a bit aggressive if it is threatened, if it feels threatened. Most snakes would like to move away from you, but it all depends on where you are and what type of snake it is. The other one would be a puff adder, which is a very slow moving snake. Looks very similar to your rattlesnake that you get in North America. Then we have various types of cobras which raise up and spread their hood, and then another one called a boomslang or a tree snake. Now they climb trees very, very well, and the beautiful snakes. All snakes are really beautiful. I love snakes, but I am very respectful of them. I won't just go and try and catch a snake or try and poke it or anything like that, because that's when you potentially could get. And out here, if you get bitten by a snake, you're in for some serious trouble. So I'd rather leave snakes alone and just view them from a distance and appreciate them and let them go on their own way. Now, Loop, you want to know what is the most venomous snake? Now, the most venomous that we get in this area is the boomslang or the tree snake. Drop for drop, that is the most venomous snake. Now, a lot of people think it's the black mamba. The black mamba, however, is very fast, and it can be slightly aggressive if it feels threatened. So it has got a very bad reputation. People are scared of it. And they're big snakes. They can get up to 3 or 4 meters, which is, if it was standing next to me, if I had to stand up and hold it, probably that long, from the stick all the way down to my leg. That's how long a black mamba would be. It's sometimes longer. Very, very long snakes. They also have very powerful venom, but they're probably second or third in terms of the most venomous in Africa. So we do have to be careful. Now, my leopard skills are finishing, I think. I'm going to climb down from the tree. But while I climb down, James has got the real leopards to show you.
Now, we do have a real leopard, everybody. It's the little female. And that's Hosana's brother. Her name is Xongile, which means the beautiful one. And she seems to be either trying to find her mother. Just watch her carefully. I know it's very difficult to see her there. But she's either trying to find her mum, or she's going to head back to the kill. But she's now moving away from the kill. I think her mum is just behind that bush, you know. Let's go and have a look. She's going to do a little turn around here. Now, Wilma, I know it looks like there are a few leopards around here, and you're wondering if leopards like to live in groups. You know what? The only cat in the whole wide world that likes to live in a group is the lion. The rest of the cats really don't like to live in groups. These guys like to live on their own. And so what you'll find is that the only time you see leopards together with other leopards is when they are mating, or when a mum is with her youngsters. So here we have a mum and her 2 youngsters, and that's why they're living in a group. But they won't live in a group for long. Eventually the little ones will move away. And the reason I'm moving wide around here is that we don't want to give them a fright. And you see them there. You see both. I'm just talking to Craig, who is on camera. And we're just going to move through this little hole here and try not to make a noise. There's lots of bush everywhere. So we'll just gently go through here. I bet you think we can't get through here, don't you? I feel like that sometimes too, but these cars are so clever. Now, Alexis, while we get through here, you want to know how long they live. Alexis, they don't live very long, you know. they only live out here for about 18 years if they're very lucky. Most of them only about 14 years. So they don't live for a long time at all. Yeah, I think it's just the little female here. I don't think her mum's here at all. We're just going to drive very gently. Oh, there, look. It is the mother. The mother's there with her. Look at that. So there you can see the long tail of the mum, and there's the little daughter. Isn't that special? It's so pretty. And it's so nice to see them together. And you can see mum just put her tail over the top of the little daughter to say, everything's okay. It's nice to be here with you. And I thought she might be there. Now sometimes that leopardess doesn't like it when we get too close. So we just need to stay here and let her get used to us. And then we might just be able to move forward a bit. But you know, the mum's head is behind the bushes, so I don't think we're going to get a very good view. And Phoenix, you say, how do leopards use their camouflage? Now that's quite a good question. If you look at them now, I reckon, Phoenix, that I think that leopard's quite easy to see. You can see they've got white on them, and white is very easy to see out here. But what you find, Phoenix, is when they're hunting, they hunt in what we call twilight, and that's the time, or in the darkness, it's just before dark. And they like to hunt in thick bush, so they'll walk through thick bush like this. And if you saw in black and white, or if you didn't see in color, like most of the animals out here don't see in color, that color of the leopards is actually really very difficult to see. And so they use their camouflage for hunting, and they use it by moving through what we like to call in English the dappled light. It's a really nice way of putting it. And that means the light that's been broken up by the shadows of trees. And then they're very difficult for things to see. Like that impala male that she killed today, very difficult to see, and really a good meal for them. Very big prey for this leopardess to have killed, but really a good meal for them, because of course we know that these two little leopards, Xongile and Hosana, very hungry all the time. And so it's so nice that Karula, the great queen of Djuma, that's what we call this leopardess, so nice that she's managed to kill for both of them something large. See how well hidden they are? Isn't that nice, Phoenix? You can see how very cleverly hidden they are. They're very, very clever. Right, we're going to try and sneak a little bit forward. In fact, you know what? I'm not going to sneak forward. I'm going to go backwards and come from another angle. I could go forward, but I think it would be what we call insensitive. And that means that the animals might get a little bit of a fright. Sometimes we do that because we know that it's not going to be a bad fright. But if we can avoid it by going a different route, then that's what we do. And that's what we're going to do now. We need to be as sensitive to nature as we can, so that nature looks after us. If we look after nature, nature looks after us. So we'll go around this corner here. There'll be a little bit of crunching and bashing. But don't worry, all of the trees here are able to survive when we run them over. They spring up afterwards, except maybe a dead one like that. We're going to crunch over the dead one. Are you ready? Okay, everybody, hold on tight. We're going to crunch over this dead tree, and it's going to go bang, bang. Wasn't that fun? Now we'll move in here, and we should get a nice view of both of those leopards. And we'll sit in the shade, quietly in the shade. Okay, now I'm going to talk very quietly, because we're very close to them, and you can see the mum and her daughter, and I'm going to give you one last look before we say to you goodbye, and I'm sure we'll see you again. We seem to be seeing Providence and Windsor quite a lot, so hopefully you will be with us again with Karula and Xongile and Hosana very soon. Have a great day at school, kids, and we'll see you next time. Bye. And after the school drive, it's always difficult not to talk to the rest of you like this. But of course, after a while, you'd get very irritated. And I can't talk to you like this because my energy levels would eventually not work anymore and my brain would leak out of my ear. So I'm going to talk normally to you. Welcome back to the sighting, everyone. And here we have Karula and Xongile. And I'm genuinely talking quietly because the last few times vehicles have got this close to her. And I've noticed this with people's voices around her. She can get quite irritated. And she does those, you know, you've often seen her, some of you, give that kind of snarl towards the vehicles and maybe the odd step forward. And we don't want that. And I'm convinced that she's reacting to the sound of our voices. And so I will talk as calmly as possible so that she doesn't feel any form of threat. Now remember, hashtag Safari Live, questions at WildEarthTV. That's how you get hold of us today. And any other day, I suppose. And it would be lovely to have your comments and questions. I'm so happy to have these cats here today. I'm going to spend as long with them as I possibly can. Simply because I've had so little time with them of late. Been in the tent and then they've disappeared and anyway, there they are. They're not doing a great deal. However, Byron has got some, well, they were worms at one stage, and now they are glorious, fluttering creatures.
They were indeed, James, and now they are beautiful butterflies. The African monarch, that is what we've got here. The other one's still sitting there. One just flew off. Beautiful butterflies. They're probably my favorite butterflies. I do have some lovely pictures of them. So just a bit of a recap of what we've done so far. We've been walking around. We found some nice fresh marula fruit, and we also found a snake skin while I was climbing a marula tree that was pushed over. Wow, really beautiful color on those wings. That orange and the white coloration. And the black. Definitely my favorite butterfly out here. I also like those broad bordered grass yellows. Very beautiful, bright yellow little butterflies. Now we were in search of, I was hoping to find some signs of elephant, and we really haven't seen a lot of elephant on Djuma recently. And I think, you know, all that happens is with all the rainfall, and there's food all over now, and the elephants just disperse slightly. They go and find areas. You would think that there'd be plenty around here because of all the marula fruit, but they probably just move into different areas where there's a lot of water, big dam. There'd be plenty around here.
Sorry about that, everybody. The fluttering creatures were obviously too much for Byron's emotional state, and he caused, through the action of his telepathy, the bushwalk to freeze. We will tell him to calm down, take a chill pill, and next time you see him, hopefully, it will be for a bit longer. I know, however, that you don't mind spending time with Karula the Queen, because for most of you, this is the very reason you watch Safari Live. It's one of the main reasons I work here. There she is. And she's got up and done a 180-degree turn for us. How very kind. And her daughter remains just flicking her little tail in there. And you can see maybe that they are very uncomfortable because they're so full. Look at them. They're great. We're so lucky, you know. I get all miffed and upset when they go south of our boundary onto Buffelshoek, or at least onto Little Gowrie, and really, I mean, we still spend an astonishing amount of time with them. So I've got nothing to be vaguely ungrateful about, I suppose. And every time we don't see them, of course, is a preparation for the next time. They're so gloriously hidden. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about the day's sort of temperature. It is about, I think, about 85 degrees or so. It's a wonderful summer's day. It was quite hot today. It certainly wasn't unbearable by any stretch of the imagination. And there's a lovely breeze blowing in, but interestingly from the northwest at the moment. So that's the unusual wind that we get. It's normally perennially sort of from the southeast there. And it's got that wonderful feeling that it's maintained the whole day from when I was on bushwalk this morning. It was calm. It was lazy. Well, it wasn't a lazy day for Karula, and certainly very unlazy for that impala ram that's now busy greeting its maker. But that's just the atmosphere that there is out here, and it's a perfect kind of summer's afternoon. And I know many of you will have read books or experienced days like this where the atmosphere is such that it all just feels kind of right with the world. It's warm. Insects are singing all around you, the odd bird is tweeting, and there's a leopard right there. Apparently we're all content now, which is excellent. We'll spend as much time as we can here. We might have to move out at some stage, but I think unless anybody objects very strongly, I'm going to spend the best part of the afternoon here with them. Mercedes, what a nice question from you, and I'm not sure I know the answer to this. You say, what does Karula do with the ticks that she grooms off her babies? Because I think you were probably watching the other day when we watched Hosana sitting on a termite mound, and he had masses of ticks on him there, and I wondered if she would not take them off him. Mercedes, I suspect she swallows them, to be honest. I think they're probably quite good scoff. Very nutritious, slightly cannibalistic, I suppose. But I think you'll find that she'll probably devour them. Certainly that's what I would suggest she did with them. She has a powerful digestive system. And there's one on her face, yes. She's always got quite a few ticks on her, you know. So Mercedes, I'm going to say she eats the ticks. Ugh. I suppose that'll make most of you squeamish, because it's really not a particularly attractive thing, eating ticks. Would you like to eat ticks, Craig?
Yeah, I quite enjoy it.
Craig says he quite likes eating ticks, everyone. He is from Natal there, so I mean, they're a strange bunch. They're the last frontier of the colony, really, so, you know, they're made of tough stuff. I don't like to eat ticks. Right, Taylor's found some signal. I'm going to talk to Craig about his meal choices. Let's go and find out what's happening on Cheetah Plains.
Before I say anything, I need to chat on the radio very quickly. Peter for Taylor. Nope. They cannot hear us. I heard Peter say something about elephants somewhere, but I didn't quite hear, unfortunately, where it was. I suppose we're just going to have to keep driving and look for our own. And let's see what we're going to have up ahead. Where are we going to go down? We're going to check all the watering holes. We're going to go past Buffalo Dam at some point as well. David's just done a little air fist pump. He's very excited about that. David, maybe today's going to be the day.
Maybe.
Right? Remember this morning, if you were watching the sunrise drive, we were saying that every time we come to Cheetah Plains, we're going to have a look around that dam, and see if we can, of course, find anything. But we actually checked the Djuma, Lake Djuma, as it's now known, because it's so big. But unfortunately, there wasn't anything around. The only thing we'd seen very briefly was a laughing dove, and then it took off. That big male hippopotamus that we had in there a couple of days ago seems to have moved away and found something else. Yes, Ephraim! Hi, Ephraim! We're going to have a chat with Ephraim very quickly. I need to, because I couldn't get hold of him, so I want to ask him about an update. Hi, Ephraim. Very well, and you? Did you see any elephants anywhere? Oh, where?
Yes, mine 3 in a row pen.
Say again, 3 in a row pan?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful, I'm going to go.
One is right up in the open.
Okay, I'll go and have a look.
Yeah, to the camp side.
Okay.
See from the open.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm going to keep scratching here.
No problem.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
We're going to go past everyone. We'll try and squeeze past. No, I'm just joking. Have a good one. Woo, the flies. There we go. So that's good news, isn't it? That Ephraim has seen some elephants. I'm pretty excited now because one of the things that I'd wanted to see this afternoon was elephants, and then of course the second thing was lions. And I found out that the Styx Pride has gone south into Annette's. So I don't know if we're going to catch up with the Styx Pride. David, which way are we going here? Hey? We're going, I always ask David just to double check, and he loves to be included all the time. Hey David, you love just having chats, so. And I was telling you something funny. Seeing as I'm teasing David now, he had a good chuckle at me earlier because as we were driving along and I was yakking away as I normally do, a big fly flew straight into the back of my throat, and the same thing happened to me the other day, and I managed to spit it out. I didn't get to spit this one out, unfortunately. It flew straight down and into my esophagus, and I'm not joking. I downed a whole lot of water just to try and see if I could get rid of it, and I could still feel it tickling and moving around in my throat. It was terrible. But it seems, I think that it has now entered my stomach. I'm very full. I'm not going to have any room for dinner tonight, David. None. Nothing. Oh, common duiker. Let's see if we can go back. I think it knows we've spotted it, but we'll go back anyway. Can you see it there, David? Here we go. Hello, beautiful boy. A beautiful common duiker. I love the way that they're able to leap and bound so high. And you'll actually notice now at this time of the year, they're going to start jumping much higher than what they do in the winter months, and that's just because the grass is so high. Sometimes the grass is taller even than the tops of their heads. So if they also want to see where they're going, and you've been seeing the squirrels doing it a lot as well. They sort of bounce top of the grass, have a quick look around, go back down, run, bounce, scan, check everything, and all the small antelopes. So the steenbok are definitely going to be doing it. So this is quite good. Watch your head here, David. Is that apparently there were some elephants just south of 3 in a row pan. So that means somewhere here. The pans are up there. I don't see any elephants. Let's switch off. Let's listen and see if we can't hear this herd of elephants moving through the bushes. I need to lift my earpiece away from my ear for 2 seconds. No, nothing. Very quiet, eh? You can just hear a red-crested koran and a turtle dove. I don't know where they've gone. Where have the elephants gone? If they've come from the pan, let's quickly check down here. I think we should do that. And then Ephraim also said something about one elephant being on the open. Hello, Bram from the Netherlands. Now, your question is actually one of my favorite things that elephants do. So Bram has said, are there any animals that benefit? Should we just go straight? Or should we go right? We went straight this morning, I think. Hey, let's take this road. We'll try a different road from the one we went on this morning. So Bram, he's basically asked, are there any animals that benefit from elephants pushing the trees down? Yes, they are. And it's one of my things. Often people will come to South Africa with this attitude, or they've heard stories about how destructive elephants can be. But of course, oh, hang on, let me just listen. Okay. So just listening to the radio, but nothing where we can go. So basically, they come and they say how destructive elephants are, but it's not that an elephant is destructive on purpose. 9 times out of 10 it's pushing a tree over so that it can reach the tops of the leaves, to push over the tree so it can get the roots, so it's got something to eat in the drier winter months. And then of course there's so many different animals that will benefit from that. All the browsers, so the impala, the kudu, the inyala, the bushbuck, they'll be able to come through and they'll be able to eat on the leaves of a marula tree, which they're not normally able to reach. And then it also provides a really nice home or protection for the ground dwelling birds, so for the francolins, for the spur fowls, for the guinea fowl. If an eagle or something is chasing them, they can often run underneath the fallen shrub, and it provides a nice little escape route. It's also a good idea to maybe nest in an area like that. It'll keep you nice and safe, and you'll find lots and lots of lizards and scorpions that will eventually go and inhabit something like that, possibly even snakes. So yes, it's so important that elephants do push over these trees, because it does help out the other animals out there. But they don't push them down all the time. Just every now and then you get a big angry elephant bull that will take his frustrations out on a tree. But even when he does that, normally then at least he eats a couple of pieces of leaves or pulls the fruit off of the tree. So he's not just leaving it there to waste. Now where have these elephants gone? Ephraim said they were just south of 3 in a row pan. Now as we're driving around, you probably would have heard me throwing out a couple of random names like Djuma or Chitwa or Cheetah Plains, even Arathusa. And if you're wondering, just having a look here, David. Actually, let's go down here. And now, Simon, you're wondering whereabouts in Africa is this? So we essentially are in the northeastern corner of South Africa, and we're in a wilderness area that forms part of the Greater Kruger National Park. But we're in a private sector at the moment, so it's called the Sabi Sand, and then we've got a whole lot of areas that we got to drive around on. So essentially these wild animals have got over 8.5 million acres of land to move around on, which is huge. It is a very, very big piece of land, and there's no obstructions. The only thing is that if a river's full and an animal feels like it couldn't cross it, well then that's going to be a barrier. Otherwise it's open and it's pristine wilderness. There are even some areas where no vehicles have even gone. So it's very remote and very wild out here. We're getting close to the plains now, and I'm hoping these elephants are going to pop out somewhere. And we're going to, oh, hang on, look at this, some kudu. Hi, everybody. No, don't run away from us. Let's have a look and see, maybe we can see the first kudu calf of the season. No. These ladies don't look like they've got any calves at their sides, but they do look like they've got a calf. Well, they all look like they're heavily pregnant. Hello, girls, and there's a red-billed oxpecker grooming away, which I'm sure that the kudu are enjoying that, getting rid of all the parasites that are out and about at the moment. And look at those very, very big ears. And David, there's a cuckoo. Hang on. Can you see the cuckoo? So you see the big knob thorn, David? Now on the top right branch. Yeah, I'm just trying to see it there. Go in there. Up a little bit higher. I can't see it. So David, if you look, you see how there's the branches go out into two big branches. It's on the one on the left-hand side, but on the top right, if that makes any sense. There we go. I think go straight in there. I'm just trying to see it. It's so well camouflaged. Go to the top. No, it's still sitting there. It's still calling. I'm just trying to figure out where it is. This is so difficult to see on this. Can you not see it? So you see where that turtle dove just flew? It's sitting right up on the top of the branch. Where are you? I can see it with my eyes, but I can't. There it is. That was a sneaky one. And off it goes. And the reason why I wanted to show you that, and I'm sorry if I spoke over it as it was calling, but that's the same cuckoo, the Deirdre's cuckoo, that you saw with Byron. And speaking of Byron, he's managed to get himself sorted again, and I think he's got a couple of footprints to show you.
Have a look at that. We've got, looks like it's very obscure in the soft sand here. And let's move a little forward and look at the beautiful leopard track. Right. The 1, 2, 3, 4 all facing that way, and the back pair, and a little further, there's another track of the, also in the socks, but you can actually see the pad clearly. Now, I've spoken about the tracks cats before. Cats, how easy it is to identify. If you just look, all cats have got 3 lobes at the back of the pad. So basically, that palm of the hand, or basically that little palm of the hand of my hand, that's the palm of the leopard track with the 1, 2, 4 toes, 3, 4 toes. So the lobes you can see clearly over here. There's 1, 2, 3. Do you see that? Very clear lobes with the pad and the 4 toes, and it's a very round track. This is a male leopard. This is a beautiful male leopard track. I think it's possibly Tingana that's moved through this area. And we're going to see if we can follow, and maybe we find him. I'm not sure. It has been hot today. I think these tracks are from this morning. So who knows? We're going to try our luck and see and follow these tracks, see where they go. They do head off towards a little bit of a drainage line. So who knows? We might be able to find this leopard. That would be wonderful. But again, with them being from early this morning, he could have covered a huge distance. We know how leopards do move around a lot, especially when they're marking their territory, and especially the male leopard. And it was very cool this morning, so it would have been nice or easier for him to move around. Now, if we come through here, it looks like the tracks head all the way along here over this log. Just see, oh, but have a look here. This is interesting. There's something else. Let me just move this side. Oh, look at this. Wow. There's a bird skull. See if I can pick it up. There we go. Look at that, a little bird skull. Now, I'm not sure what bird this would have been from. It's difficult to tell. Longish beak. Maybe a starling, possibly a starling. I would guess. I'd hazard a guess. I'm not entirely sure. Don't take my word for it, but it does appear to be a starling skull, perhaps with that longish beak. So I think so, but I'm not sure. It's quite tricky to tell, but it's possibly been killed by something. Or, you know, there are no big trees around here, so I don't think it fell out of a nest. I don't think this was a chick. This was a bird that died. And speaking of that bird, who's unfortunately not doing so well, but Taylor's got a beautiful bird that is. Coming back. Oh dear, looks like Taylor's got some gremlins on her vehicle, but don't worry, stick with us. And I feel like I'm leading the largest bushwalk ever. We always speak about the largest game drive vehicle with all the guests on board, all you viewers. This is the largest bushwalk. Don't forget, remember the hand signals I taught you yesterday? Get down, come forward, go back, and just freeze. Don't forget that. I'm just having a look and seeing if I can't find more of these leopard tracks along the way. I'm hoping he went along this path, but the soil has become, or the sand has become a little bit harder, so it's a bit tricky to see now. But you never know, we might find there's a lovely little pan up ahead, a little water hole, so I'm going to have a look there. Maybe he went and had a drink. See, it's always very nice to know the area that you are walking in, so you know where these little mud wallows are, because you have to be very careful. It could be buffalo wallowing in these mud wallows, just like James had earlier today. Let's head back to Taylor. I think she's got signal and a beautiful bee eater to show you.
Louise, I just want to let you know as I sit here, I can copy you about 2 out of 5 now, but this is a Carmine, a southern Carmine bee eater, and I don't know if anybody has seen it. yet this year, but I know Brent and I, before you went on leave, we were talking about spotting Carmine bee-eaters, and well, here one is. And I think that it has to be the most beautiful bee-eater that we see. That beautiful sort of pinkish purple and the touch of turquoise really, really does stand out. And they can fly up to 650 kilometers. And sort of they're intra-African migrants, so they come from the northern parts of Africa, and when it gets too hot up there, they come down to us for our summer. And they should probably leave around March or so, but I'm hoping we're going to start to see more and more around here. And the big plains of Cheetah Plains have been fantastic for birding. Like I said this morning, we also got to see a long-tailed paradise wider, which is an unusual bird. So this is a really, really special one to see. But very much like the other bee-eaters, they are specialists at catching insects while they are in flight. They're able to do the most beautiful acrobatic movements and catch bees and wasps. And of course, that's where the name comes from. They are very good at wiping the stings off of the insects before they feast upon them. But isn't this fantastic? And I hope that it's a new bird for some of you. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And if it is a new bird, I'd love to hear from you. So you can send it through as to what number bird this is on your list. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or questions at WildEarthTV. Louise, also just to let you know, I have no service, just in case you are trying to get hold of me. But it is just perfectly sitting there, and it is so obliging as well. Normally we try and get a view of the bee-eaters, and they're always the first ones to fly away. Oh, I suppose that's nothing new. I suppose that's the birds, isn't it? Always flying away when they get the camera on them. But this one is particularly relaxed. Oh, big yawn. Now, Liz, you've said that this is also your favorite of the bee-eaters. And I mean, you can see why that beautiful black stripe across its eye, and then, of course, all those very pretty colors. It's nice, though. It's almost like pastel colored, and it's one of the reasons why I like them and the European bee-eaters. I think that they are the most beautiful. The Carmine bee-eater, of course, is my absolute favorite. But this is lovely, and I can hear some rollers also shouting away. There's lots of birds, and we're keeping our eye open too for that long-tailed paradise wider, because if we can show you that, I'm pretty sure that it'll be a new excuse me, I think that fly's trying to come back up again. Get back down there. We should have chewed a bit more. No, I'm just joking. Where was this bee-eater when that fly decided to fly straight into my throat? I needed it there so it could have swooped down and caught it and saved me from the bee-eater. And I think it is, Louise, I think you're quite correct. I think that this is exactly the first Carmine bee-eater this year. I'm so excited. I'd never expect to have seen it here. Normally you see these birds along riverbeds, or dry riverbeds, anywhere where there's quite a steep slope and a bank, because like the rest of the bee-eaters, they make mud hole nests, and to be able to make a mud hole nest, you need to be able to excavate into the side of a bank, of a river. And there aren't too many big river systems around here, so perhaps it's coming. Oh, excuse me. Dropped a little package off. And I think it's obviously coming to and from, maybe flying all the way into Mala Mala, heading down to some of the bigger river systems like the Sand River. But this is fantastic. And I wish that it would swoop down and catch something for us. But I don't think it is. Sorry, you can feel shaking. Oh my goodness, I just got bitten by insects. I don't know what flies they were, but they attacked me on both of my legs. It was so sore, so I had to give my legs a little bit of a slap, which made the camera, of course, shake hysterically. You know, there's no earthquake or anything going on. It's just me panicking that I'm being bitten. Let's see if we can actually get a closer view. I don't know if it might fly away, but let's try our luck here. Been so obliging as is. Yeah, it's a lovely bee-eater. There we go. And even look at the little bits of green that it has on its head. You will not bite me again. I got it. That is stunning. I actually thought it was going to fly away for a moment, because normally when they drop off a little package, a little parcel, they normally take off after that, but not this one. This one is staying put. and listening to us. Maybe it's missed Safari Live, hey, since last year. Hasn't seen us. It's probably just as intrigued with us as we are with it. But where's your friends? Where are the rest of your kind? We haven't actually been seeing too many bee eaters. I heard a couple yesterday, just before we ended the bushwalk. Some European bee eaters, quite a big flock of them flew overhead. But other than that, the odd little bee eater, but nothing really more. It seems to be that the rollers are around in full force, having the lilac-breasted, the purple, and as well as the European being around. Still haven't seen a broad-billed roller here. Last time I saw one of those was in Zambia. And the last time I saw Carmine bee eaters was probably, I think, in about December last year. We saw them quite early down in the south. We saw lots of them. And there we go. Off it goes. Wasn't that fantastic? Now, we've checked the plains, and I haven't seen this elephant, or these elephants that Ephraim was talking about. So I think what we're going to do is I think we're going to go actually further down the boundary towards 3 in a row pan, and there's a couple of like sort of little wetlands there. Maybe we'll get lucky and find those elephants. But it seems as though Mr. Henry is still sitting about with the royal family. I think we should all go across so you can grace them with your presence.
Hello. The royal family is walking around, really. Hosana somewhere around there. Karula's left the kill. Was hoping she'd come back to it straight away, but she doesn't seem to have wanted to move in there a little. I can see flicking tails. Now, as I said to the kids, if you were watching at the time, this leopardess has developed a somewhat, well, not dubious reputation, but she can get irritated. And so I'm going to be quite careful about her. I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that does irritate her. Ooh. She seems to be relieving herself currently. It would be very nice if the elephants would clean up after themselves. There she is. I think she's gonna lie down. Now we can't see her at all. Sorry everybody, I didn't predict that very well. We'll try and get a view through here. What she will not like is Jigger's brakes going. I'm going to watch her behaviour very carefully. Yeah, now what she did there was she gave a very slight snarl. So she went like that, and I think that is a good enough reason for us just to move off. I don't like that she does this, and I think it's because we irritate her. And so what I'm going to do is try and approach from a different angle that just puts a bit more distance between us. Not because I think she's going to jump on the car, but because clearly, I mean, a leopard doesn't just do that for no reason. Did you see her do that? Craig, did you? Yeah. And it's just important to me that we don't have a situation where the animals feel uncomfortable. Now, is it heron? Heron or Karen? You're wondering about why it is that kill is not in the tree. And heron, the reason it isn't in the tree is because it's too big. She's not strong enough to pull that thing up. It's heavier than she is. She probably weighs in the region of 90 pounds, maybe a bit more, about 100 pounds. And that impala probably weighs in the region of 160 pounds. So he's too heavy for her. And once she's eaten 20% of it or so, I imagine then she will perhaps try and get it into a tree. Either a tree that she's under, that is, you know, the kill was under, or there's a scraggly marula off in front of her. The elephants have made such a mess around here. You can hear the dang, bing, bong, bong under the car, and that's because of the little stumps that the elephants have left all over the place. Oh, now little Xongile has joined her. There we go. Marvellous. So we'll just sit here with her. Now this distance is probably about, let's say 15 meters or so, which if you're working in the 18th century is roughly 50 feet. And she's totally comfortable now, you see. There was no movement, she just glanced as I hit that last tree, and there was no snarl, there was no kind of lifting of the lip. And so I think this is probably the distance at which we should stop. And what she also does, and I've seen her do this, is that she will close the distance to the vehicle. And that's because she doesn't see it as a threat. But then something on the vehicle will irritate her. Be it a loud voice, be it a camera shutter clicking, be it the movement of a cameraman, the beeping of a radio, something. And then she'll give that snarl again. And so while I always used to be of the school of thought that if the animal approaches you and then it's kind of, well, then that's fine, she's obviously comfortable. But if she approaches you and you're doing a certain thing, you best stay doing that certain thing, because that's what's made her feel comfortable, if that makes sense. And it's only through this kind of being as sensitive as we can with her that she will stop this. And I'd love to know from some of our long-term viewers, perhaps, was this a thing that she did often, that she used to sort of lift her lip and snarl at vehicles? I've seen her do it to a lot of people, much less now actually since she had these two cubs. But before she had these cubs, I mean, I remember watching her rev a vehicle from, she was probably 20 meters away, and the car came in and the guests were being very loud, making a noise, and she gave a good charge. And I mean, I haven't seen her do that again, but I'd love to know if that's been a characteristic of her life forever. No, Arun, I don't think so. I mean, it's a good question from you. You say, could it be that she's being sort of ornery, if you like, because she's pregnant again? No, I don't think so. I'm interested, of course, now if you're wondering where that question comes from, everyone, she did mate with Tingana for a few days. About, what was it, probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I think it's unlikely that she's pregnant. You know, it took six mating events with Tingana last time for her to fall pregnant. I don't know what that was. I don't know if it was a proto-estrus. I don't know if she was trying to lure him away from them. I don't know what it was, but I think it's highly unlikely that she ovulated and that she's pregnant again. I may be proved entirely wrong, and I accept that completely. We have so often spoken utter nonsense about these leopards under the assumption that we know what's going on, and you know, most of the time we just got no idea. Oh, now a man after my own heart. James, you're wondering what the fuzzy grass species is in front of the leopard's face. Well, there are a few. A thing that looks like a bottle brush is called cat's tail, or Parotis patens. There, that you can see the bottle brush grass there. It's not called bottle brush grass. Then to the left of that you can see the drooping sort of florets of one of the Aristida species. I'm not sure exactly which one that is. And then if you come back a little bit, one of the three orns in English. Then what else we got there? That's pretty much it. I did see another species. Well done, Craig. There's a bit of, that's not a grass, that's a flower of some sort. Oh, there, that's finger grass. You can see that very long culm with the 3 long fingers. That's called Digitaria eriantha, or the finger grass. And I did see another quite interesting one, if I can spot it from here. No, it's largely Aristida, the Parotis patens, and that Digitaria. Now, of those 3 species of grass, now I know it seems a little churlish to be talking about grass when you've got a leopard, but the leopard's not doing anything, so let's talk about the grass. Those 3 species of grass are actually pretty poor grazing grasses and are indicative that this area has probably been slightly overgrazed. So during the drought, what you will find is that this area was heavily grazed, and so these plants that increase under huge grazing pressure have done just that. They've increased. Or little Xongile has deigned to lift her regal head and put it back down again. So thank you, Tiki. You say that loud noises over the last few years have irritated Karula. That certainly seems to my mind to be what does it. Even though she will close the distance, silence doesn't seem to bug her too much. But absolutely noise, loud voices, squeaking brakes, revving engines, they do seem to irritate her. I suppose, you know, as we all get older, so loud noises tend to irritate us more and more. Luckily we don't play any M&M around her. Yeah, Roger, I don't think so. I'll tell you why. You say, and I think, I mean, it's a very good thought. You say, does she perhaps get irritated with vehicles because they could be spooking her prey? No, I don't think so, and I don't think so simply because she sometimes uses vehicles to sort of as cover for her prey, and it's not when she's hunting that she's like this. It's in situations like this when she's lying down, she's relaxed, there is a kill on the ground, and you know, the cubs are around, that she tends to get just a little bit more protective of her life. And I suspect that it is too much pressure that's caused this. I think it's too many people spending a little bit not too much time with her, but you know, vehicles driving in and out of sightings the whole time and getting too close, getting complacent. And eventually a wild animal's going to say, that's enough, that's close enough, back off. And that's just what she's doing. And it will happen with absolutely any wild animal. We tend to start to believe, especially younger guides in this area, tend to see these animals as tame, almost as completely tame. And there's nothing tame about that leopard. There's nothing tame about her youngsters. And we would do well to remember that. And so because they are wild, there comes a stage beyond which they will get irritated and tell us in no uncertain terms to get out of there. Now, just can you back the focus up a bit, Craigus? Yeah, there we go. That kind of wheat-like grass. You see that one? There we are. That's called red top, if I'm looking at the right thing. Yep.